But back to Jaws. So it's an honorable sequel. It does well. Then some idiot decided that they should tackle the 3D.
3D. See, that's the first. They jumped the shark in a movie about the shark.
Right. Like, you want a clear indication of why 3D sucks. There you go. Jaws 3 could have been up to Jaws 2 standards. It could have been better than Jaws 2. It could have been surprisingly cool. But instead, it's chintzy, unwatchable dreck. It's lame. Like, just inept to watch.
And you think it's the most inept until
you see Joseph Sargent's... Is Joseph Sargent?
Fact check.
Jaws the Revenge.
Take a shot if we're wrong.
Which is not only structurally, screenplay-wise, one of the stupidest ideas in the world, which is that a shark is smart enough to follow a woman from New York to the Bahamas. Like, that's actually purported in the film. This is not science fiction. We're not talking about Avatar, where we buy that we're on a planet full of blue people. This isn't a film. This isn't a film that takes place in reality, and she's actually telling people. And please keep in mind that Lorraine Gary, at this point in her career, still married to the head of Universal, which explains why she gets to star in Jaws 4, even though Roy Scheider had given up 2 movies ago.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Michael Caine is in Jaws 4, and he's been asked several times about Jaws 4, and his response is one of my favorite ever. The response is, I've never seen Jaws 4. I have seen the house I bought because of it.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that always bugged me, it must have been in 87 or early 88 when the Oscars were on. I remember like it was yesterday, Michael Caine wasn't there to get his Oscar because he was filming in the Bahamas filming Jaws the Revenge. And I thought, that's a sin, dude. You are a brilliant actor, and you just won an Oscar for a wonderful Woody Allen film, and you can't collect it because you
at least have the presence of mind.
Sharks with Mario Van Peebles.
At least have the presence of mind to send Sacagawea to tell people you can't accept your Oscar.
So at that point, the series, as far as sequels, I guess of course we should mention that prior to Jaws 4, there was a very close chance that Jaws 3 was going to be a comedy called Jaws 3 People Zero, and that is pretty common knowledge among movie nerds, and the script is out there if you want to read it, but they decided at the last second that they wanted to go thriller 3D with Dennis Quaid and Bess Armstrong and Lou Gossett Jr.
Because when I think thrilling, I think Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid.
A shark in SeaWorld. Think about that. How scary is that?
There's a lot of sharks in SeaWorld.
You know how you can avoid a shark at SeaWorld? Don't go
buy
to
a ticket.
SeaWorld, right. SeaWorld's
don't buy a goddamn ticket.
SeaWorld can blow me, and not only because of Jaws 3. There. Alright? It's because of Free Willy and because of what they do to noble animals.
I would like to repeat again that the ties and the fedoras have definitely come off.
Yeah, I don't like SeaWorld. I don't like what they do. I don't like what they do to animals. Alright? Zoos have respect for animals. SeaWorld makes them dance around for fucking fish. I don't like it. I don't. Whales shouldn't be
I would
humiliated.
dance around for fish.
I'll dance around for fish. I'm a human being. Give me a fish right now.
Give me a fish right now. Give me a fish right now.
So my question to you guys is, if the Jaws, and you know somebody at Universal has like come into the room and whispered this idea at some point, because Jaws is one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. It still makes millions of dollars a year. Okay? If they're going to do Jaws, what do? Do we dare propose a reboot of fucking Jaws?
No, you don't.
All right, let me pose it another question then. You just got a job as an associate producer at Universal, and you are getting a nice apartment. You're going to do this job well. You're not going to become a lame ass suit. You're going to help filmmakers produce good films for Universal. Your first assignment is get Jaws another film. As an idealistic young producer, what do?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that you said lame suit on this podcast.
Yeah, not lame suit.
Considering our whole concept here.
A lot of lame suits.
Lame horror geeks in suits.
In suits, yes.
No, but a lot of
we're
lame
in suits. We're not lame suits. We're just lame in suits. So yes. I'm okay with that. So the distinction is made. A lot of lame suits would plow forward with Jaws, and they wouldn't give a shit about its legacy. I honestly, there's no reason to reboot Jaws, and the reason is that there's so many fucking terrible shark movies. We're getting one, next summer?
No, next week.
Shark Night? Next week?
Yeah.
Good God.
Shark Attack. Right?
Shark Night 3D?
Shark Night 3D. PG-13 rated.
Yeah, PG-13.
We just got a remake of a Jaws ripoff.
Yeah.
Piranha 3D.
We just had the Reef.
There's so many. We don't need another.
Right, but there's not need. Nobody needed a Friday the 13th remake, but it came out, it made its money.
Well,
it made its money, but some people really liked it, some people ignored it.
There was
no need.
There was room for improvement in Friday the 13th. As much as I love it,
okay,
I will wholeheartedly admit
that's a good point. But then my question is, is a remake's responsibility to improve an original?
No, but what I'm saying is, if we're judging necessity, if we're judging the necessity of one, then yes, there's a necessity. I get it's not really a necessity.
Well, just ask the question a different way. If a Jaws remake is happening and you are involved,
if there's nothing we can do to stop it,
yes, if we cannot firebomb Universal,
what do I want to see? I want to see it go back to formula. I want to see it go to withholding as much as possible. Being very conservative with what you actually show, like don't lean on the fact that you can show whatever you want now, and that the effects are so much better, and that you have so much more money.
Restraint is what makes something scary.
Restraint is exactly what you need to show in a Jaws reboot. And if
you have to hire somebody to do Jaws, you should give it to the guy who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That guy
Either that
direct
or
every reboot.
Rupert Wyatt,
yes,
I believe.
Yes. I would also throw Russell Mulcahy into that mix because
love Russell Mulcahy.
I love Razorback. Get it off my back. Get off my Razorback.
So, all right, well, we would like to apologize for proposing a reboot of Jaws, but I guarantee you, somebody at Universal has broached this topic.
I want it noted that I did not propose a remake of Jaws. Okay, so let's go to the one that's very near and dear to my heart that I want to talk about that had the good sense to stop at 4 is Psycho. And the reason it's very near and dear to my heart, obviously the first one, Alfred Hitchcock's first one is a great film, but I also love the hell out of Richard Franklin's Psycho 2.
Yeah.
Which Psycho is a really great...
Psycho 2 goes back to what we were just talking about, where somebody was given Jaws 2 and they looked at the first one and went, oh shit, I better be careful. And Halloween, I really believe that Rick Rosenthal loved Halloween and said, how can I do this sequel right? And I honestly believe that not only is Howard Franklin, was he a protege of Alfred Hitchcock, but he is a student of, or he passed away about a year ago. And you could tell, whether you like Psycho 2 or not, you can see in every frame of that movie that he's trying to do an honorable, honest follow-up.
Yeah, he's working his ass off.
It's not just, oh look, he's back with a knife.
No.
It's Psycho 3 is kind of a mess.
Whoa!
But
What's happening right now? That's a dude hooker.
Sure.
Leprechaun 5.
Leprechaun 5 is going to some really...
You see this clear plastic dildo in the middle of the table?
No.
Are you talking about in the movie or in our living room?
Pay that no mind. Because the opening shot of this particular scene just started on the balls portion of that dildo and tilted up to reveal the entire...
Cinematography!
This podcast is going to some creepy places.
Well, you know what's great is for a while I didn't know...
So was Leprechaun 5.
That's great.
I didn't know if we were watching Leprechaun Back to the Hood or Fat Albert's Junkyard Gang.
No, Back to the
Hood. Fat Albert's Junkyard Exhibition. More like it.
Oh, this is in the Hood?
In the Hood. Back to the Hood is Leprechaun 6.
That's another podcast entirely.
Alright, back to the lecture at hand. Perfection is perfection, so don't let him understand. What the hell were we talking? Psycho, yeah. So Psycho 2 is great. Psycho 3 is not so good.
Not a great film.
It tried. Okay, here's the thing. The Psycho franchise has had a really diverse and interesting group of directors. Obviously, the first one with Hitchcock. The second one with Richard Franklin, who was a student of Hitchcock. The third one, Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates himself decided he wanted to direct one.
Because why not?
Because why not? And then by 4...
films, though.
And then by 4, it's Mick Garris, who is also a director, I guess. So, but I mean, these are notable names that have all contributed their little bit of legacy to the series. And then by 4, which honestly is terrible, but I kind of enjoy, which is the direct-to-video sequel where Norman is calling into like a radio help show and like describing his life, and it goes back and it talks about Norman's early days and his childhood, and it's very interesting. And it has Olivia Hussey. Olivia Hussey? What did I say?
Yeah.
Is it Olivia Hussey?
No, it's Olivia Hussey.
Olivia Hussey. Take a shot. We're wrong.
You're thinking of Olivia de
Havilland, I guess.
De Havilland.
I don't know. I'm very, very drunk. But yeah, so and they had the good, as bad as 4 was, they took a look at 4 and they went, you know what? We're done. We've told this story enough. We're gonna pack it in, which is admirable, because honestly, if you don't recognize that by part 4 and you're already languishing, wow.
I think it's just a question of do the films still turn a profit? You know, I mean, for example, like a lot of us have been waiting for a Phantasm 5 for a while, and I'd like to see Don Coscarelli come back and dig into that again.
Yeah, I mean, Phantasm, granted I've only seen the first two, but I really dig
Phantasm 2.
Yeah, the first two are really good.
Phantasm 2 is interesting because it was Universal, but I mean, Universal bankrolled. I mean, that was a big sequel for them. That was big, I mean, relatively. You know, Phantasm was made on a shoestring. Phantasm 2 was Universal, which is why you won't find it in the box sets with the other Phantasms.
Right.
3 and 4 are like, you know, you can see that Coscarelli is kind of restrained by very limited means, but God, the guy has lots of ideas.
Yeah.
And if he had enough money, he could probably turn Phantasm into some kind of like, you know, epic Dark Tower kind of thing. You know, it's just can he get the investors that, you know, will make a Phantasm 5 profitable?
Yeah. Well, and I don't think we can get out of here with Scott Weinberg on the show without talking about the Alien franchise.
Oh! Yeah, I thought you were going to go with Critters, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Critters, I mean, once you peak with Part 3 and having Leonardo DiCaprio in your film.
I recently watched the Critters set that has all 4 of them on there. And
it is 3 that has Leonardo DiCaprio,
yes,
right?
Correct. It
okay.
Is. Yeah. Part 4 has Angela Bassett.
And Part 4 does what? Where do they go?
Space.
Except... That's the thing. They go to that gimmick, except the Critters fucking came from space.
The opening of Part 1 is in space.
So it doesn't really. It's not really a gimmick to go back to space.
I kind of thought the same thing, and then I reminded myself that they're aliens. How is that weird to be in space?
Yeah, and yet they still managed to make it a gimmick. They sold it solely based on the fact that
these aliens are in space.
It makes no sense.
All right, but if we want to close with Alien, because most people know that Ridley Scott's Alien, is my all-time favorite movie. I've seen it probably 25 times, and I know it all by heart, so don't ever watch it in the same room with me.
It's true.
And Aliens, although a completely different animal, is also pure bliss. If Alien is, to me, the ultimate haunted house movie, then haunted house in space, then Aliens is the ultimate war movie in space.
I would say that Aliens is the ultimate guys on a mission movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just guys, sexist.
Well, really? Have you ever been mistaken for a guy?
No.
Nope.
Have you?
There it is.
Alien 3, I didn't like much when it first came out, but I've definitely come around, and you can't really fault a film when you know that it was created under such, you know, creative problems. When you got to know, you know? I mean, you know, what's on the screen is kind of interesting, but not a great film. Alien 4, I just don't like the direction they went in. I think Janae is a good filmmaker. I like Delicatessen and Lost Children very much. But I like the idea of putting them with, these upstart French phenoms into an established franchise. I just don't think the end result is what I like as an Alien fan. It's just too weird. And so now they're making a 5th one, which is a reboot / remake / prequel / we don't care as long as you come see it, and it'll probably become...
Have we already bitched about this on a previous show? About that we don't care or want to know what the space jockey is all about?
It's my biggest pet peeve in the world. I used to have nightmares. To those who aren't really sure, the space jockey is the very mysterious skeletal remains that are found inside the derelict spacecraft once Dallas and Kane and Lambert enter the...
And no, nothing they can do with that is scarier than what you come up with in
right,
your mind.
And I'm thinking, okay, was that their jailer? Was that a zookeeper? Was that their chauffeur? Was that their friend? It doesn't matter. It's a brilliant piece of storytelling through production design, and it just doesn't matter. It's a great little mystery.
Okay, and now...
and let me ask you this, Brian. Do we need to know what happened to the Norwegians or the Swedes before the thing starts? No.
No, we don't.
We
don't.
That's
a good point. And honestly, I was fairly forgiving of the fact that they were doing a Thing movie about them, but now that you mention it, I don't need to know that either.